Hey guys, Elijah here, and I just been having this gut feeling for a while. We made it to 50 subscribers, which is insane. I mean, that's half of 100 people. Um, I've been making it to the point where you guys are telling me that you're excited to watch my next videos or my next stream, and that you guys have been having really bad days. Um, I just been up a lot of nights though, worried about that. Like it's nice to hear, and I love hearing it. And I was one of those people that used to say that to PewDiePie. But I just remember what I was going through when I was saying stuff like that to YouTubers, and is why it's like a huge inspiration of why I wanted to start YouTube, and also why I'm a odd, strange character that I'll randomly go jump up and I'll support you and be a really great friend, and be someone that's there when you need me to be. Because I've been through a lot in my life, and I've had to overcome a lot of obstacles. And I never know when you guys say that you have a bad day what you're going through, you know? And I just know I've had my hard days, so I figured, and it's been sitting in my gut when I've been going to bed these last few nights, um, that I should probably share this story with you guys. And my first time dealing with something, that was a huge obstacle in my life was in grade 8. And what was basically happening around this time in my life was I was playing video games. This is a gaming channel. And it was my first friend ever. It was Golden Boy on PlayStation 3. And it was like Modern Warfare came out. And it was my first ever online game that I've ever played. And he was my first friend that I made. And we shared a lot of memories together, gaming. But it comes down to where I was in a game of Modern Warfare 2 with all the guys that we usually play games with every single night for the past like 4 years. And he wasn't talking. His mic was off, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And he just started really opening up and telling me the most bizarre things I've ever heard. I was getting messages from him saying that he was being sexually abused from his stepdad in a very vivid detail. And I was pretty young at the time, and he told me this whole plan that he actually had, that he was going to go grab his stepdad's gun and that he was going to kill himself. But while he's sending me all these messages, he's putting haha, lol. And he asked me, why should I even live? And the moment in time that I had with him to make a response, I said, I don't know. You're pretty worthless. And obviously months go by, and he's not online. I started to get messages, and his mom finally got a hold of me, and she just asked me if what he said was true, if the man that she was married to was sexually abusing him. I just said yeah, and I was like, was he grounded? Is he in trouble? And I'm pretty young, and I'm here near the end. It's almost summer for grade 8, and I'm going from middle school to junior high. And that's when she told me that he followed through with his plan and he actually shot himself. I struggled with that for a long time. A very long time. I remember crying myself to sleep most nights. I wasn't feeling good at all. I couldn't believe that somebody could do that. That somebody could just end their life and they're not here anymore. I had put video games aside for a while, and I remember just leaving hints on Facebook, and I think my mom and my grandma finally caught on, and they sat me on the couch And I had a hard time talking about it. I had a hard time reaching out. Because really, what can I say? During that time, I felt like I didn't have a voice. And I just held my knees each night, and I just rocked back and forth, and I just cried and cried. It was really hard for me. And so I'm going through all that, and I was going to school, and I actually reached out, and I went to therapy with Miss I at school. I had started that. I started to kind of get myself together, which was really nice because my school was kind of being affected as well by that. Um, and so I kind of leaned into grade 9. And in grade 9, I was spending a lot of time at my grandpa's. My grandpa lived out on the reserve, and I used to go out there for a fire, have some iced tea, and just run around the woods and make rafts and bridges to cross the river out of logs that we would find. And we'd go hunting for moose in Saskatchewan and go fishing a lot. And it was one of those times where I was just outside and out in the woods, which was nice. But it got around Easter that my grandpa pulled my mom and my auntie to Walmart, and she let me and all my sisters go and run around Walmart and grab as much candy and chocolate as we wanted, or even Easter treats. And we filled up this cart, and we were just constantly throwing stuff in, and we showed up to the counter, and my grandpa paid for it all. So that was kind of like a huge thing that's never happened before. And so it led on to Christmas, that he finally had came out, and he said that he was battling cancer. So it was kind of a hard set on my family, but every time he came back, he always seemed like he was doing well. He would always have a smile on his face. It was awesome during those days that we got to see him, because we knew how much it meant. And I remember I'm in grade 9 and the PATs are coming up, and I have a band trip. So we had these little almond chocolates that we had to sell to make money for the trip, for gas and hotel and whatnot. And I was down to just my last couple of boxes of chocolate, and I was running out of where to go sell it to. And my mom said, well, why don't we go out to Grandpa's house? I'm pretty sure he would want to buy some chocolate. So, we drove all the way out to the house, and we get in, and, we're like, where's Grandpa? And he's in the back room. And I didn't know at the time that this would be the last time that I would get to see my grandpa. And he's in the back room, and this is the first time we saw that he's not doing well. In the midst of all of this, my mom tells him what's going on, and he looks to me and he's like, my boy, I'll buy all those chocolates off of you. And I say, really? And, he's like, go grab me my wallet. It's on the kitchen table. So I go to the kitchen table and I grab the wallet and I bring it back to my grandpa. And that's just where he bought all this chocolate and everything from me. And he gave me the chocolate as well. And after that, the weekend comes up, and he gets rushed off to Edmonton. And I remember watching my sister Nina and my auntie Jessie's house, and I just know he's not doing well from when I last saw him. And I remember taking a shower. I just whispered underneath my breath, God, if he's not doing well, please take him with peace. As soon as I said that, I got a call from my auntie, and she's crying, and that's when she said that my grandpa passed away. And Nina wasn't awake at the time, and I didn't want to wake her, so I just let her sleep in peace. And I stayed up that whole night crying. And the two lessons that I had learned during that time in my life was that money never mattered. it was the loved ones. And it was really sad to see that my grandpa had found that out way later in life. And, I still hear stories that he wasn't close with my mom or my auntie, as they all wanted to be. But I'm glad he realized that near the end. And that was a lesson that I learned. And another lesson I learned from Golden Boy was that you don't know who you affect when you make that decision to take your life. Like, I was just a friend playing video games with him for 4 years, all the way out here in Canada. But it affected me. And it affected me a long time. And sadly, this isn't these were just the first obstacles that I had to face in my life. After my grandpa passed away, I had to make a decision if I would go to my grandpa's funeral or the PATs. And so that kind of started off my high school year, where I was in Dash 2 classes and where I had to really struggle with everything. So it was definitely a huge challenge to start off high school that way. So that's kind of what life gave me. And I just tried making the best out of it, and still went to therapy and still did whatever I can do and reached out. And I remember in grade 10, it was like after that summer, I went out to go meet my dad. And I remember always yelling at my mom and fighting with her when I was younger. Being like, I don't know the half of me. It takes two to make me. And I was always like that with my mom. I gave my mom a really hard time. More than I probably should have. I remember going out during the summer of grade 9. And I meet my dad in Houston, Texas. I finally get to go out and meet him now that I'm older. And I get to hang out with my little brother, Baby T. And it was an amazing time. But I remember clear as day as my sister-in-law is sitting there, and she's really antsy. She has her hands like this, and she's on the couch, and she's giving me this look, and she's kind of biting back her lips, just like that. And I felt like she wanted to tell me something, but I just pushed her and played with her a bit and was like, hey, why are you so shy? And, grade 10 starts, and my mom has to sit me down. And she's like, Elijah, please take a seat. I just have to tell you something. And it turns out my father, the man that had gave me birth, sexually abused this young girl that wasn't even his kid. And that took a lot out of me again. That was a huge obstacle, because I always looked up to my father. I always wanted to know what he was like. And when I met him, I found out that I was like my father. We ate the same way. I looked the exact same when I'm younger, with my little afro that I had, to the personality and the jokes that I make. So it worried me a lot that I was growing up, that this man had sexually abused this girl, and this man gave birth to me. So that was something I had to go through, and it still affects me to this day, because my brother Baby T isn't with my dad or with his mom. He was put up for as an orphan. So it plays on me a lot. When I've held my baby brother and he's fallen asleep on my shoulders, and now I can't talk to him, and I have a hard time communicating with him. So I'm always battling with that to this day. But all of these events haven't even led to the hardest year of my entire life, and that's grade 11. I'm battling all these challenges that have been happening, and I haven't caught a break at all. My home is so frustrating because my mom's in school and I'm watching the kids, and there's fights that usually happen in a relationship. And it was just such a very pressured time, and I never had the rest that I needed to get over these challenges. And grade 11 shows up, and it's coming down towards the winter months, and I get the worst news that I can't barely... It stopped me from eating for a whole week when I found out. And that was that my brother Justin was beaten to death. It was hard. It hit me really hard at that point. It was a situation where he was at a party on the res, and one of his friends threw a rock and it broke a window, and this guy that owns the house came out and he figured it was my brother, and I guess he just started beating on him because he broke his window. And when we got the body back, it was the hardest thing ever. But they said that on the arms there was no bruises. So what that means is that my brother must have got knocked out with one or two hits and he was laying unconscious. And this guy continued to beat him to death. But I don't think that's what bothered me the most. I think what bothered me the most was the fact that he was surrounded by his friends and none of them decided to do anything about it. My brother Justin was 18 when he had passed on, and it was at a party. And for me personally, that was going through that, I also was bothered that I couldn't cry because I've already been spending every night crying in the basement of my home before going to bed. I'd cry myself to sleep, and it got to the point where I just couldn't cry. I just felt so emotionless and so angered, like I was going through so much emotions during that time. And I just had no control at all. And it was just a hard time. And I was in a relationship, and things started to kind of seem like it was going good and well. And it's coming back down towards near the end of grade 11. And it was my great-grandma that passes away. My great-grandma meant the world to me. I never learned anything after she passed away. I just learned the lessons that she taught me when she was still with me. And I feel like as I'm growing older, I'm slowly learning the lessons that I got the privilege to sit down and she would share with me. And it would be something even as simple as, my boy, don't be in such a rush to grow old like me. And we'd both laugh. But now that I'm older and I'm in my working career, I'm moved out, I'm paying bills, it took me a long time to just start doing my thing and to just have fun. And just to understand that I'm young and not be in such a rush to find a girl and to get married and to start this whole life, and to just do me and focus on what I should be doing. And there's many more lessons that I'm sure that by the time I'm in her position that I would finally understand what she was telling me, and I would be sharing that knowledge with my great-grandkids on the side of my bed. It's just, like, challenges like that have always been hard. But the cherry on top of all that was the relationship that I was in. She obviously cheated, and then my best friend at the time, Austin, stabbed me in the back. And this is why it was the hardest point of my entire life, was because he said why don't you go kill yourself? And I wanted to. I was so driven into depression that I remember I just wanted to take a knife and just stab myself and just end it. But I just thought that was too painful, and I started to really think things through on that. I thought about going to grab this gun and to just shoot myself and just to end my life. I just remember going to school every single day. I would just be full of ways that I could just kill myself. I was just depressed to the point that I was suicidal. And I was going to therapy for that. And I don't think my mom or my family ever knew that I was struggling that much in life. And I never wanted people to know that. I always wanted to be positive and happy. And I've always wanted to be there for people because I knew how it felt to not have control of anything. I battled with that for a long time during that section of my life. And finally I got to go to Europe. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle being in Canada or Alberta, and the school Europe trip popped up, and I said, I'm going. And so got all the money and all the funds to finally go on that trip, and it was amazing. I got to go to Spain, Italy, and France. It was definitely a life-changing experience. But what happened the most was I was on a cruise ship eating 5-star meals, spending money like no tomorrow, all these euros, and our cruise ship decides to take a sudden change to go to Tunisia in northern Africa. And so I show up and I spend the extra amount of euros to go on the trip, and we're in this country, and I just remember seeing how broke and poor and devastated everything was. And we were in there, and I don't think the people I went with understood that there was also they're overthrowing dictatorship over by Egypt, and it started flooding over, and it was affecting in Tunisia. And I have a picture on my Instagram of this lady just trying to get some groceries, and there's barbed wire, and there's soldiers everywhere with AUG scopes, like AUG rifles, with ACOG scopes, and they were just aiming at this lady. And I didn't understand what was really going on at that point either, when she was just trying to get food. And I remember getting this little turtle from this girl, and she was sharing a story with me while I was away from the crowd of people that spoke English. And she shared that her family was killed, that these people that were riding threw a Molotov into her house, and her mother and her father burned to death, and she was just in the back, just trying to wash some clothes in the river. It's a lot of things like that stacked back towards everything that I was going through, and I never truly understood that other people were having struggles in their life, and I've never felt so connected with somebody as I was in this pain of losing everything. I felt like the world and the pressure, and I was just holding it by myself, and I was just alone for the longest time in my life. I come across the globe to northern Africa, and now this little girl shows up, and she just puts her finger on the globe, and I can finally breathe a bit. So I did my best. I gave her, bought whatever she had for toys that she would need, and just went out to the market and got food, and then met up, and we all went back onto our cruise ship, and we partied and did everything that we wanted to do. And it was just bizarre to me that at that moment on, I didn't want like fancy clothes. I didn't want anything. I just felt really fortunate and lucky for what I've had. And at that moment, I started to value people and their stories, the way they think. And I just cherished the time that I have with people. It means more to me than money. And that was a lesson I learned from my grandpa. And being there for somebody could have made that difference than my friend Golden Boy. And doing all this would be something that can make my life more of. Because my brother Justin was only 18 when he had passed. And I just remember going on 17 to 18. And I just wanted more out of life. And I wanted to invest that time with people. So I was in Europe and all that was going on. And this girl that was my best friend at the time had just asked for a postcard. And so when I got back, I just handed her the postcard. And we went out together, and it turned out to be a date. And I dated her for a year and a half. And it was up until I graduated that we finally just fell apart. She wanted to go somewhere else in life that she knew wasn't on my way of life and my morals. So we just called it off at 4 a.m. over the phone. And I remember walking the next day with Marvin, my little brother, and I wasn't even able to buy him a lollipop for 25 cents. And I knew that I set morals that money wasn't a priority because of my grandpa. And that's what carried me through that relationship, why I was out of it. And I wasn't working and I had no money. It was because it just didn't appeal to me. And so I just started working. And I remember going online and I met Ty Lopez's advertisement, the Lamborghini and the knowledge kind of thing that everyone jokes about. And I remember at the end of the video, he had an application, and I signed up for the application, and I got enrolled for his 67 steps. And just this past February, I was actually in New York City, and I got the chance to hang around millionaires and hang around very successful business people. And I got the chance to learn about different lessons, like if you were to take money and bury it in the 70s, if you put $100 down and you were to dig it out today, would you still have the same value? And could you buy the same things with that $100 as you can today? Obviously that's a no. So investing was something that I had to learn with money. So I guess this, to sum up my story, is no matter what you're going through in life, there's things that you can't control, that are just completely out of your hands. But at the same time, there's things that you can control. And I remember I was sad outside of church, and my friend Jonathan Parkin came to me, and he said, it's what you do during your lows that determine your highs in life. And that's where it all started to make sense for me, personally. That's where I started to notice that there's nothing I can control, but while I'm down here and while I'm really sad and I'm really depressed, there's things that I can do. I can go talk to Miss I was able to go and talk to my mother or my friends that I had. You know, I had people that I can go to, and it made it easier for me to reach out. Because I knew by reaching out that it would make it easier for me down the long run. So, and no matter what happens as well, no matter what you're suffering with, there's always something good that's going to come out of it. And it might not come that day or that week or month or even year, I mean, it might even take 10 years. You never know, but something good does come your way in life. And sometimes you might just have to not be in a rush to grow up. Sometimes you might just have to slow down and just look around. And you might notice that your little brother's looking up to you, or your little sister, or your friend. You know, you're always around people in life, and you never know who you affect. And I definitely do encourage you to not make calls, and don't get too down in life, because there's always something that can be done. You know, and maybe not every situation, I shouldn't say that, but in the long run, taking your life is never the answer. Or you might just end up leaving somebody like me damaged way more than what you're probably going through. Or maybe not. Like, it's hard. But I'm glad that whatever I was going through, and when I was at that moment, that I was actually making plans saying that I was gonna shoot myself, that I didn't. Because I'm here and I'm on vacation in Penticton, and I have my own place. I have my own car. Life's manageable. Life's something that I have fun now. And I generally have fun. I'm not putting on a mask or a front to hide my pain. I finally was able to let go of my past and looked back at it, and I was able to take lessons from my pain, rather than just carrying it heavy-heartedly. That I'm finally able to just be me. And when I see somebody that's out there, that I want to be there, I want to support, because I know how much that means and how much it meant to me. And that's why I wanted to share my story with you guys. Because I don't know if you guys feel like you don't have a voice, or maybe you just needed to hear that someone went through something hard as well, and that you're not the only one to face challenges in life. And I understand that it's hard to reach out for help. I still haven't even sat down with my parents or my family. I have a feeling that's what was in my gut that I should share. But I don't think I could, handle any more pressure if I didn't share my story, when it could have made a difference in someone's life. Anyone that's watching this video, I hope that you learned something new, and I hope that my pain you can learn from. I hope that there's something that I just shared with you guys. And you might not change your entire life, might not change the way you live, but maybe the way you think. Maybe it could be just a simple thought of, hey, I don't know, what that person's going through in life. And maybe I would really encourage as well, just go out and just, if you see some stranger, maybe just say, hey, I like your sweater, I like your jacket. Because you never know what someone's going through. And that's why I started YouTube. And this is why, people are asking me like, oh, you're doing it for money, the subs, the views. Money doesn't matter too much to me. These materialistic things don't really matter to me. It's the human connections. And I just wanted to build a community, and I just want to be a person that's not just a guy playing video games and just for laughs. Like, I generally do care about you guys that do watch my videos and that do come back and that are excited to see my videos. It's insane to even think that that's where I am. And that's what I just want to do, is to build a community and to build a family, a Jammer family. And I really do appreciate it when I'm doing a live stream and you guys are there and you're all enthusiastic. And I also see in my comment section, you guys are asking how their day is going. Because I'm busy playing video games, and you guys are like, Elijah, you play video games, I'll talk to this person. And you guys do, and you guys Any new viewer that comes on, you're there checking up on them. And checking up with me too. I notice you guys have been asking how I've been, and it's been nice that way. So I'm kind of shaking. This took a lot for me to share, because I know it's going publicly, but I'm feeling a lot more better sharing this with you guys. So yeah, I definitely do hope that you guys have a good night. And I'm probably just going to leave this for the record. I just wanted to have something of my life story recorded. So that way I don't have to go through this with someone that I just meet. And hopefully that this also that explains kind of more about me as a person, as a character, of where I am. Because I am really strange. I do, like, this year I've been thinking about what passion feels like. I know people have goals of, like, I'm gonna go party at Vegas, or I'm going back to school, or doing all this other stuff. I always just try to set goals that work on myself. And I just wanted to know what passion felt like. Like, how does it feel to jump out of bed and you're excited to do something? I finally found it with YouTube, and I've been doing this for just 1 month, and we're a little bit over 50 subscribers. It's an amazing feeling that I am entertaining you guys, and I do have a fan base going, and I do have my community there. So this is just the beginning too, but I just wanted this for the record. But if you're watching this during the night, I hope you have a good night. And if you're watching this during the day, I hope you have a good day. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.